Hello everybody. I'm so excited to get started on this tutorial for you. You should have seen now the finished product, and hopefully you are very excited to get started, as I'm excited to get going on this journey as well. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is we actually need to create your album cover. To create your album cover, you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 9 inches by 8.5 inches, and then you need 1 piece that is 4 inches by 8.5 inches. You will also need 2 pieces of Tyvek, black Tyvek, that is 1 1/4 by 7 3/4. Don't panic if you don't have the black Tyvek, then go ahead and use cardstock. Pop into my Bonita's Basic video tutorial for this, and it will walk you right through doing this, and I don't know if you've seen it already, but it's going to help you make perfect, beautiful corners. It just makes it really nice. So pop into there, watch that. Also, you're going to create the binding system at that same time that we're going to go ahead and put into your album, and you should be able to see that as I lay that down. Now this album takes 3 of our U-shapes. These U-shapes are 4 5/8 by 8 inches. My tutorial for that on the binding system will walk you through how to score this and how to put them in your book. So go ahead and put that all together, and then just leave it just like that. The last thing that you're going to need to do is to create your basic waterfall. For your basic waterfall, your base sheet is going to be 6 1/8 by 8.5. You then will also need to cut 7 flaps that are 6 1/8 by 5 1/4. The tutorial on the Bonita's Basic Waterfall will walk you through how to score your pages and how to lay them on your base page and how to take care of all that to make this perfect to get ready to set in our book. Okay, after you've done those, pop back to this video, and the next step that we're going to take is cutting out our decorative paper. So for me in this tutorial for you, we're going to go through and cut 20 sheets of your decorative paper into the sizes that you need. And as you cut each piece of paper, I'm going to have you label each one of them with what size it is and what page it goes on. What I did is I used my normal size sticky notes. I cut them in half and used made 2 of each one. And I wrote on here, and I don't know that you'll be able to see that. That one says Waterfall 4 by 6. So you're going to have a waterfall set, you're going to have a back envelope set, and then you're going to have pages 1 through 12. You'll want to make 14 piles with all those pieces in there, so that when I say, hey, let's make page 1, you'll grab that stack that says page 1, and then you're ready to rock and roll. We will cut your cardstock as each page comes up. I didn't want you to have all that cardstock sitting around because that just kind of gets hectic. So that's what we're going to do. So go ahead and get these 3 pieces created, your album cover, your binding system, and your waterfall. All of those are Bonita's Basics tutorials. The links will be below in the comments. And then pop back and we'll get your paper cut, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we'll see you soon. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make the envelope closure for the back page. So we've started with our base page, which is 8 by 8. Sometimes you can use this actually as a decorative piece of paper. We don't have an 8 by 8 piece to use, so we're going to use this cardstock. So we have a top and bottom flat for these, which are 8 by 5 1/4. They are scored, oh my gosh, they're scored at 4 1/2 and 4 5/8. And so we're going to go ahead and put those on. And whoops, I have to trim. Again, remember, we're going to trim our little pieces off. And I'm just going to move that out of the way for a second. And we're going to go ahead and do our score, or folding on our score lines. Give that a good burnish. On that second one, that second score, that's just the 1/8 inch. It's a little tough to get used to, but eventually you will figure out a way that works really well for you. Now, when you're putting on, building this, it doesn't matter whether we do the top or bottom first. It doesn't really matter. Or, excuse me, the top or bottom or the sides. I'm actually going to put the sides on first as soon as I get this scored or folded. Okay. We also have, excuse me, our sides. They are 2 1/4 by 8, and you will score at 2 1/8 and 2 1/4 on this. 2 1/4. I will actually have it on the screen for you because I think it's 2 1/8 and 2 1/4, but I'll make sure it's on there. Again, we're going to trim the corners off our piece. And let's go ahead and attach these to our cardstock. So I'm just going to take one of them and scribble my glue. It's amazing how much glue you use, by the way, because this was a full bottle when I started, and it's ready to be refilled. It's not empty, but you know, I think I've mentioned it. I like my bottle when it's fuller than not, because it's easier to put out. So I had adhered that to, I adhered it to the piece that's going to be showing, and that just went on really well. But it's just easier, remember, because you can bump that score line right up to it. Okay, so I'm going to head and scribble. Scribble, scribble, scribble. This is one of my, again, it's not my signature. I can't say that I designed this page, but I like to have this on the back of almost all my albums, because it gives that just some more places to put some photos. Okay, so I've got the, whoops, let me burnish that in there, goodness sakes. Okay, so we have this flap like that. Now I have my top and bottom. Again, they're exact same size, so it doesn't matter. And when we put this one on, we're also going to put it on the same inside, and we're going to glue it. And I've already snipped my corners there, you guys. I already snipped my corners. And that is just going to go right to the top. And you want to make sure that you are inside your side pieces right here. Put that on with your finger first. Open it up and make sure that these flaps are going to shut. Perfect. So now I'm going to burnish that down. I'm going to turn it around because it's easier to do from the top, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. Again, I've already trimmed my corner pieces off because we want, that helps, just helps you a little bit. Put some more glue on there. Scribble, 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 scribble. And I'm going to then put this up here in between the score lines of those, my side pieces. Don't go over them. If it does, before you lay it down, you could trim this off like just a baby, the sliver. But typically it works more often than not, it works. Okay, so this is what we have here. Let me kind of flip out to my full screen here. We have that whole piece right there, and we are going to fold it up, and fold it up, and that is actually our really cool envelope. Before we go any farther, we're going to turn it over and we're going to put score tape on the back of this. So we're going to, whoops, let me put my glue on, or my pin in my glue. I should have moved those pieces. Okay. Now, when you put your score tape on, make sure when you're doing it that you do not go past any of your score lines. You want it all on that 8x8 base page. Okay. So I'm just going to lay my score tape down right on the base page. You know, I watch old movies when I'm crafting, and I watched White Christmas the other day. I know that's kind of crazy, but I love that show. I like watching old movies because it just kind of makes me really relaxed. And today I am watching The African Queen. I love that movie as well. I love Humphrey Bogart. I just think he was incredible. And then I'm going to put, I'm going to put one down over here. And there's that. And then I'm going to put like a few strips. Again, it's going to go this way, so I'm going to put my strips this way. And I'm going to probably put 4 of them on there. No magic science to this one. My score tape. Set that out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to burnish these all down so that they're all ready to rock and roll to put in our album. Okay, so now let's decorate. I did not put my white. We're going to put 4 white mats in here. They're 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. As you know, occasionally through my album here, as you will see, I accidentally put these down first before I should have, so I will make note of that as I do that. But that is how they're going to go. So we're going to go ahead and glue those in. And just arrange them so they look nice. So this is a way that we saved ourselves because we didn't have any more cardstock left, which is okay. You know my motto, give them 3 choices: photo mats, pockets, and then cover the decorative paper. So I'm just going to glue all my stuff. And glue that down. So I'm thinking about getting one of those selfie printers that I think it's Canon. I think it's Canon that makes that. It'll print out 4x6 photos really quickly. I think I might get one of those. It's on sale right now at Best Buy, and I have a couple gift certificates that I got quite a while ago, and I think reward points. I think it's on sale, so I might do that tomorrow. So I can print out some photos, and it also prints smaller ones as well. It'll put, I think it prints four photos on smaller photos on one piece. And sometimes you guys, even on some of my albums, we might put smaller photo mats because it's fun sometimes to see like 4 of the same picture that are like in like real small, like 2x2s. Okay, so we're going to burnish that down. So, and then we are going to decorate. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water because I'm thirsty. Now, we're going to decorate the inside of this, not the outside yet, because the outside we have to do our stuff with. Okay, so for the inside, again, we are, you've already cut your paper, and your paper, these were from the front cover of your paper. So we are going to use these. Now you think, what am I going to do with this Stamperia? I don't want that on there. Don't sweat it. We're taking care of that. So we are going to put this on, and we're going to center it, but we're going to do both the top and bottom, and we're going to center them, and we're going to leave a little bit of extra black, more than normal on this one, but that's okay. So I'm just going to scribble my glue. I think my glue bottle is working very well now that I've used it a few times. It's not like super stiff. Just center that. Do our lovely burnish. Now, what I want to show you is, this is how good we're using our paper. So this is the back page of your packet of paper, and we are going to use this, but on each side of these was so you'll have 4 of these strips, was strips that were like this. They're about 1.25 inches wide. I want you to cut those, all 4 of those off. Put them in your, put them in your stash, but we are going to use, keep 2 of them out, put the other 2 long strips in your stash, because we're going to use those for something else. So you are going to, first of all, cut, this is 7 3/4, and you're going to need 2 of these that are cut 7 3/4, because what you're going to do is you're going to center that and lay it right over top of the Stamperia name. Stellar! Okay. So Stamperia, it's really cool because they allow you, I mean, you can really think outside the box and use all those pieces. So I'm just going to cover that right up, and I'm going to center it. Burnish that down. And here's my other piece, oops, that I cut off. I'm going to close this up so I can pull this down so you can see. Again, I'm just going to center that up there. My scribble job. I'm going to just lay that down there. Put it on there. Here's my other one, and remember, we cut it off the edge there, and 7 3/4 inches wide. I'm just going to center that. I can move in here just a little bit, you guys. It'll help you see a little bit better. Let's see, is that out of focus a little bit? I turned my autofocus off because it makes it jittery. When I first did my first few videos, I'm like, why is that so jittery? It's because it always tries to autofocus, and I didn't like that. So I turned it off. Whoops, let me get some more down here. Okay, and make sure you are not in the score line down there. Oops, gosh. Oh, that is about as not even as you can get it there. Okay, burnish that down. I pick that up, and I'm going to just put a little bit. I have my Cricut tool, because we're going to use that here in a minute. I didn't get enough. I picked that up, so I didn't get enough glue down there. Burnish that. Okay. Now, the sides that we're going to put on, the inside sides, are you cut those in your cutting guide, and they are also from the cover of your paper. And so you have 2 of these, and they're long. they're 12 inches long. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to trim these up to 7 3/4 inches. And then that other piece that's down here on both of these, set them aside. Don't panic about that. So you can decide which one you want on each side. That's up to you. I think I'm going to do this. I don't know how many paper lines you can actually do what Stamperia does and allows you to use your pieces of paper on there. I think Heartfelt Creations occasionally has some things that you can do that with. So that is just going to set right down there. Press it with my hand, and we're going to burnish it. Get that glue to spread out. Oops, I took my paper out there. Okay. Again, we're going to do this. And I'm going to center that on there. I keep wiping out that side of that paper, so I want to be careful. Okay. Now, again, we had these strips, and we had, I'm just going to put this up here to show you. That might be the wrong color. It doesn't really matter, but we had this strip up here. So this strip was 12 inches long. We cut off 7 3/4 inch, and then we had that longer piece left. From each of those long pieces, I want you to cut 2 1/4 inches off of. So you have 2 of those. Put these back in your stash. Okay, with these, guess what? They're just going to go, whoops, 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 whoops. Those are the short ones. I got one of the short ones, sorry about that. These are going to go just like that, right over top of that. Now you can trim this down. So this is about 7/8 of an inch. So we can trim these babies down if you want. You do not have to, because nobody would ever know that that's what we're cutting. That's what we're covering up. See that? So I'm going to just trim these to 7/8 of an inch. Again, your choice. You can leave it wider. I'm also going to put a little bit of antiquing on it, because that's just how I am. I cut the wrong one. Well, that's a fine how do we do. I cut the short one. I hope I don't need that piece later. Okay. Okay. Put the lid on that, get that out of the way. These I will allow you to throw away, these little baby pieces. Yep, you can throw those away. Okay. So let's just glue these down. And right on top of that. Is that not slick, you guys? Look at that. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? I have to kind of give credit to my mom. She's like, oh, why don't you use the cover? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Okay, is that not slick, you guys? Oh my gosh. Okay, super, super cool. I guess I gotta kind of spread out to see that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, so now that we are going to take care of the outside. So it is okay to go ahead and put these on. Now these were also cut out from your designer paper cutout layouts. With these, you have to trim them up to 7 3/4 of an inch. And I think they may have been 8 inches when you cut them. I'm not sure, but you need to cut them to 7 3/4 because they have to fit right like that. Again, you can choose which side that you want them on. Either way doesn't matter. I'm going to keep my lighthouses on the same side. Get a little bit. So these are the very top of the pieces, and sometimes you have that little bit of glue on there, and it's, you can get it off. It's just kind of a pain in the tooties to do that. Okay. My super dog just came in here and he's, I don't know what he's trying to get into. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and glue these down. I hope you like this, you guys, because I like to put it, again, I like to put it in all my albums, so you'll get to be a pro at it if you continue to watch my videos. Put that on my hand, and then I'm going to burnish it. I'm going to burnish it. Okay. Do the same thing with this one. My dog is sniffing around here. Checkers, what are you doing there, buddy? Okay, and I'm going to put that one on there. Going to burnish that down. You can open it up as well to do that because that will help better. Be careful when you do that though, when you're burnishing it, that you remember that you have these pieces here because you don't want to like whack them. Okay. Now, excuse me, here comes the fun part. What you need to make your envelope closure for this is you need a circle punch, and you know I just use one. I've had one in my stash forever. You crafters probably all do, and you need to punch 4 circles, and I don't know where the 4th one went, and I know it was here. There it is. 4 black circles, a small brad. Can you see that? It's a small brad. That's from my stash. And I have just a little piece of twine, and I cut this about 16 inches. I don't think you need that long. I think we can do 12, but I always forget to write down the measurement I like, and so I'm gonna go 16, and I tell you when we get done whether we can go smaller than that. Our 2 pieces that go on the front of this, again, we cut out. They're 7 3/4 by 4 1/4, and we do not want to glue them down. I'm just going to show you what they look like. So this one is this piece right here. See my sticky notes? And this one is going to go right here. It says every seashell has a story. How true is that? Okay, now what we're going to do is, first of all, we are going to build our little bases. So we're going to take our 2, you know, I think I might cut 3 circles because I like it a little bit heavier. So I think I'm going to punch 2 more. So let those dry. We're just going to build a circle. Let me grab some black paper, you guys. Kind of in my studio, I've got I got stuff behind me, so it kind of makes it easier to get stuff while I'm doing my video. Okay, and we're just going to make that 3 thick. Squish your paper in there. So I'm just burnishing them down because my circle punch kind of tore my paper a little bit. Gosh, I am like parched. Okay, now I'm going to come over here, and well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I don't know if I can get both my pieces out of there. Seems I was kind enough to zap that piece. So what did I do? Shoot to toonies. So this is that little piece that we had, and I'm going to punch a 1-inch circle out of it. And I'm going to glue that on my circle set. And I am not sure. I have a couple little, so all my stash, I don't want to show you my stash yet because you'll kind of laugh. I'll show you. I'll show you. So after you cut all your pieces of paper out, this is what your stash kind of looks like over here. And I want you to be careful about what you use because we have to use some of them for some other things next, which is we're going to finish our waterfall. So that's important as well. So I am just going to, shoot, I want you guys to use the other piece of this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to punch it out of here. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I am going to glue that down. I don't know what I'm thinking. I need 2 of my brads. Okay, I'm also going to ink my edges because that's what I like. I need a second brad. I just happen to have them in my arsenal right here. So we need 2 brads. 2 brads, a little bit of twine and circle punch, and our very tiny, I think it's a 1/16 inch of a punch. If you don't have one of these, you can then use like a pokey tool to make a hole in it. You don't use the 1/4 inch. That's way too big. Okay, so here is a super duper trick for you guys. I'm so glad I found that dog paw. So see how that paper, that top of that paper works? Okay. I have a white 1-inch circle. And here's a trick. We're going to take that white-inch circle paper, it's cardstock, and I'm going to fold it in half. And then I open it up and I'm going to fold it in half, exactly matching up those 2 fold lines. So what that does is it gets you, and this is going to be hard to see, but it gets you the center spot there. And so what I do is I take it and fold it back in half. I take my circle and I put it on my circle. And then that I can see exactly where the center is, and I'm going to draw a dot. I'm going to draw a dot on there. So again, I take my white circle that I made, put it on your circle set, and then you will find the middle because there's a crease right there. And you're just going to put a pencil mark on there. Because then you're going to take your puncher and you're going to go right to that center and punch it. Right to the center and punch it. Super duper. Okay, so now what you want to do, and I think you probably all, from my stash, I have one of these tape runners, the temporary adhesive, and I'm just going to put 2 little things on there. I'm going to line my paper back up where I want it. I'm going to open this up. Again, 2 little tick marks, and that's it. Line this up. Make sure you have your paper the right side up because that would be disastrous. Okay. Now we want to figure out where do we want to put our circles. Okay, so we're just going to lay them on our book or little thing that we're making. Okay, you see that? I will zoom in on this one, you guys, and let me see if I will get it in focus a little bit better. I'll autofocus it for a second and then take it off. Okay, there we go. Okay, so where you punch those holes, you're going to, and you line them up where you want them. I'm going to put right through the hole that you've already made. I'm going to put that in there, okay? let's do one at a time. So let's do the top first. So the top is just going to be, so now we can take this up. The top is just going to be, we're going to take a little puncher, punch that hole there. We're going to take our brad, put our brad through our circle. And we're going to take our brad and put it right through the hole here. Okay. I am going to use this tool from the Cricut because it's a spatula, and I use it to open up my brads. And I'm just going to turn it, and I like to put my brads horizontal, and I use it, and you're just going to squish it down. Okay. Now, you are going to take your score tape. I think my puppy needs to go outside, but he's just going to have to wait until I'm done with this. Take a piece of score tape, and we're going to put a piece of score tape right over that. And you're going to have to pick it up with your hands and push it down. You can't burnish it because that's lumpy. Just like our magnets, we're going to put a piece of tape above it and a piece of tape below it. Okay, and use your hands to put that in nicely. Now, we're going to go ahead and put this one down. And I know it's hard to see I need to scoot back out, folks. Sorry, a little bit. Okay, how about that? Okay, I am going to take my score tape off my piece here. I absolutely just love this. It's actually one of my, I don't know, I just love this. Okay. Oh gosh, you guys, I left the pin off my glue. You should have hollered at me. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to use my other bottle. That was not cool. Okay. So we are going to glue just like we normally do all the way around. Scribble, 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 and we're going to come and put glue on that tape, remember? I'm not going to forget this. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put this down. And I'm going to put it down with my hands. So this one I want you to pick up, and I want you to, where all that score tape was, I really want you to rub it with your fingers. The rest of it you can burnish down. Careful because you have a gusset there, but you can score it, you can put it down. Look at that. Is that not adorable? Okay, now let's do the bottom. So the bottom is really similar, but there's one step that we have to do, and that is to actually use our twine. Okay, so we are going to just put our brad through there. Well, I didn't really get that in the center, you know, but there you go. Now on here, we're going to lift up our top in this one. We're going to take our hole puncher, and it's too far down, so I'm going to take my little pokey tool and just going to put a poke in there. This is the tricky part. You got to put your, I'm licking this, by the way, because this needs to go through that hole. Shoot, I had it there the very first time. It's kind of like threading a needle, you guys. Okay. We need to have it go through that hole. On the back of this, we're going to put a little bit of glue, kind of scribble down below the hole there. And kind of lay that down. I use score tape, a couple of pieces of score tape. Get it down there, just really rub it down there to hold that down. Okay. Pull your twine down. Take your circle unit with your brad and put that brad through the hole. if you can. We got to thread, it's like threading another needle. Okay, turn it over. And again, I use a spatula because I don't like to use my fingernails. It just, ugh. And I open it up and I'm going to make it go horizontal. See that? See that? Horizontal. So we are going to put a piece of score tape over that. You have to pick that up and rub it with your fingers because it's bulky. And we already have a piece of score tape below it, so we're going to put a piece of score tape above it. Okay, so rub that good. Okay. Let's take our pokey tool and pick those up. Those up. Pick that up. Going to use our glue, and we're going to glue it all around the edges. So scribble, 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 scribble. Scribble it all. Come over and glue your tape. You are going to open up your envelope portfolio there, and you are going to put that down. I like to open this up, you guys, so that it's flat, so I don't mess with my gussets. Give it a good burnish. You know, I am not getting very close to the edges, you guys. Remember how I said how important it is to get your corners? Well, I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, so there we go. You can throw your white circle away. And there you have it. And so this is just going to be wound around. Like that. And so I cut 16 inches, so 12 inches would be plenty. Plenty, plenty, plenty. So I'm actually going to, I'll chop that off later. I'll chop it off later. 16 inches is fine too if you want, but 12 would work if you want to do that. There you go, you guys. Okay, so we're just going to set that aside because we actually were going to put this in our album like last, one of the last things that we do before we, because it's easier to put our pages in before we do this. Okay, so there you go. Okay, now we're going to build our waterfall. So again, this is hard to see, but you have built this by using Bonita's basic tutorial on how to build a waterfall. And so now we are going to use this waterfall. It's going to go horizontal in our book instead of vertical. So we're going to do it the horizontal way. And before we decorate it, we're going to actually add our tab, because I'm not using a ribbon this time, I'm using a tab. So this tab is 1 3/4 by 6 inches. And so what we're going to first do is we're going to open up our waterfall, and we're going to get down to that very last page. Now you should already have all your tape on there. So I am just going to glue this, and there's a 1-inch tab left in there, and that's what I did that on purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that, and I'm just going to center it down on my last page there. Use your finger to press it, and then give it a good burnish. Okay. Now, before we forget, we're also going to add our magnets. We are on our last 2 magnets of that pack that we got from J&S Hobbies. Remember, there was 10 in that pack. And I think it's always nice to use a pack of magnets. So there you go. That's how Bonita rolls. I like my magnets. So we're going to first put it on this tab because that's kind of where it's important to us that we get it in the right place. So this particular one, I am going to get my score tape, but I'm going to put my magnet on there. And remember, like a finger width is where I like it. Okay, so I got my magnet there, and I am going to put score tape on it to hold it in place. Again, about a finger's width. It can be a little bit less, but not much less than a finger width, okay? And then we're going to put in, and so this is on the underneath of the tab. And I'm going to put score tape there. And I'm going to put score tape here. Give those a burnish. Okay, take my magnet, let it fall on top of there. And I am going to, I got my glue working, by the way. Remember, we're going to put, to do our magnets, we're going to put glue on that magnet. We're going to shut whatever we're going to do, and I know that's hard to see. I'm going to shut it, press on it, open it up, and that leaves you a little dot right there. Shows you right where your magnet should go. So I'm going to go ahead and put that magnet on there. And that's not quite a finger's width, but that's okay. We wouldn't want to go much lower than that, but that's going to be perfect. If it's too low, then what you need to move this one up a hair, but I think we're okay there. So just pay attention to that. I am going to score tape that one down. Score tape below it. So make sure when you're doing your waterfalls, it's great to have a piece of white paper that you can put, because otherwise it is hard to see what you're doing on your papers. Okay, we're going to do that, and we're going to do a little smooshing on there. Okay, so let's check it out. Voila! Okay, so now we have on my last page, so let's open that back up. We're going to put a pocket right here. My scissors. My scissors. And throw those away. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and prep my pocket as normal. And this pocket was, and I'm sorry I didn't have it written down, is 7 1/4 by 2. And we're going to do our typical pocket adhesion. So we're going to add our glue. And we're going to go right over that flap. Press it down with your hand first. Open it up and give it a good burnish. And we're going to do our sides. I need to put that pin in there. I don't want to faux pas that again. Press those down with your hands. Give your handy dandy little pieces of plastic and put in your sides of your pocket. Give that a good burnish. Okay, there you go. Now, we have some pieces that we've already selected for this. We have, this is our top cover. We have this piece that is going to go in our pocket area. We have this piece that is going to go over our tab. This piece that is going to go over our tab. And I don't know what I did with my little, oh, now this right here is from one of our strip sets that I had you cut for this, and we're going to use that right here, so we'll have to trim that down. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the pocket piece in. This is 6 by 3 3/4. And again, you will have that already from your cutting guide. And we have two sides. We have this side, which has a little bit of decorative with words on it, which the words you're going to lose. Well, I guess not most. You know what? I guess some of the words are there. So you know what? Let's, well, no, because we're going to have it's going this way. So we are I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. But you can use either side. I'm just going to glue it all up. And sorry, I have to turn it this way, folks, so that I can see where I am putting that. Okay, so let me put this glue top on. And I have my trusty ruler or cutter here because we're going to need it for some other stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this long strip that we had you take out, and I'm going to cut it 6 inches. And I'm going to put this back in my stash. Kind of already showed you my stash. It's kind of a mess there, but that's what your stash is going to be, a mess too. So there you go. You know, okay, so, or there's a blue side. You know, how about we do the blue side, and I am going to ink the edges. So I normally have it laid down on something, but you can also do this. Again, this is the Tim Holtz ink, the Vintage Photo. You can pick this up at J&S Hobbies, as well as these daubers. They're great. So I'm going to use the blue. Make sure you get to the corners. Remember, I was struggling a little bit with that. Lay that right on there. Isn't it great that I figured out where all these pieces go for you? Okay. And up on my screens throughout my videos, you will see I will have all the sizing up there for you. So that will be very helpful. So you don't have to stress out. Try to get everything written down. It will be there, so you can just pause the video if you need. Okay. Now we have 2 pieces that are going to go over our tab, and this is going to go over the first one. And oh, you know, that's not quite wide enough. So I don't know that that is actually going to work, folks, because well, I guess I'm going to. So I'll have to really be careful because I have my score tape out there a little bit, and I want to make sure it's not. This is not quite wide enough. It's only 1 1/4, and I made my score tape just a little bit too wide. So I'm going to kind of back that off when I take it off. Okay, so this we need to trim that to about 4 5/8. Sorry, don't really like the 5/8, but you have to kind of play the game sometimes. So 4 5/8. So that's the 1 hash mark past 4 1/2, in case you don't remember. I'm gonna give that a little bit of inking. So this you can probably throw away, but you can throw it also in your stash there. When I take off these little, so if you use that same piece I did, make sure that your score tape doesn't, that you use a smaller piece of score tape like I did on that magnet piece. If not, what you want to do is you can just kind of roll it backwards, and they will roll backwards out of your way. Okay, where's my glue? Gosh, you can't put my glue too far away. This is a piece from your back cover, because you can tell because it's white in the back. What handy pieces those were. Get your corners good. Put glue on your magnets, and then you're just going to center this. So this one's a little bit smaller than the other piece we're going to put on, but that's okay. And so press that down. You got your magnet, so press that down. Burnish the rest of it. Be careful where your magnet is. You want to make sure your sides and top get all done. Okay. This goes in your stash. We're going to go ahead and turn this over and put this one on. Now this one is wide enough, but we still need to trim it to 4 5/8. And again, that's one little tick mark past the, and then this, again, this has two sides of it, so you can choose to use whatever side you want. This one has words on it, and they are going in the right direction, so I'm going to go ahead and use the little, it has, I don't know if you can see that, it has some words in there, kind of that distressed words. Now, pay attention, because if I would have, I may have put it upside down for the words, because you want to make it, you want to make sure you're going in the right direction. Whoops, shoot, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to put that on. Remember, you have that magnet down there, so you want to be careful when you burnish this. I'm going to press it with my hands good. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to burnish it from here. And I know where that magnet is there, and I can see that. Okay, all right. Now we are going to go ahead and put our top on. And I'm going to use this big piece of white paper just so that covers that up. And this white one, or excuse me, this one, I want you to come down not all the way, so you want to leave just a hair of black there. But I want you to leave this open because we are going to put our trim there. Okay. So I am going to take off my, whoops, I don't want to make that pokey thing that long. It doesn't, it's too much. Too much, too much. Take off those tapes. I hope you enjoyed the waterfall tutorial. Many people find it are more successful when they make the waterfall like that. And again, it works for any size of paper, pages that, you know, whatever we choose. But it's nice, 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 nice. Okay, I'm going to glue that down. I got glue on my tape, and I'm just going to center that on there. When you're using magnets, you always want to try to remember, put your magnets on before you put anything else down. Okay, now this is where my magic waterfall comes into play. Most people go and cover every single page. And I'm here to tell you, I don't like to do that, because in every single page of a waterfall, which is what it's meant to be, you're going to have a picture there. Okay? So why would we waste our paper on those when knowing full well that we're going to add a photo to them? That's what the whole waterfall is all about. So what I decided is that we're just going to use strips of paper. See that right there? We're just going to use a strip of paper. Now there is a little bit of a kind of a, I won't say trick, but I go, after I get my waterfall down, these are my little tester papers. So this is a 1/4 inch and this is a 1/2 inch, because, excuse me, 3/8 of an inch. And so when you put those down, I know this is going to be hard to see, you want to make sure that it doesn't ever touch the other, the piece above it. Okay, so 3/8 usually is fine. And on this one, what I did, my 3/8 piece, I don't know what I did with it. It was just coming out a little bit too tight of a fit. So when I cut my, when I'm going to cut my strips for these, I'm going to cut them one baby strip from 3/8. And when I'm talking baby strip on my cutter there, you'll see I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to help you guys if I can get this in focus. Let's see if it focuses it. Well, it's going to be tough, you guys. We're going to try. Okay, so these long ones are obviously the inch, 1/2 inch, whatever. inch, quarter inch, and then the ones in the middle, those ones in the middle are your 1/8. So I'm going to actually cut this one baby notch smaller than 3/8. So that's going to come down to 3/8 would be 6/16, so 5/16. And I 100% hate to tell you that, but that's what I'm going to do. I don't want it so tight that it causes a problem. Okay, so I waited to cut these while we're on video because I want to show you something cool. I like often to use stripe paper because it's just fun to do. Stripe or zigzag because it kind of makes a pattern. We are going to use this piece, and so this was the piece of paper that said to use it on the waterfall. It's this cream. You could use the cream if you'd want, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this side, okay? So I am going to turn this, and I'm going to start cutting from this top, and I'm going to do, I need 6 strips, and I'm going to go, here's my 3/8, and I know you're not going to be able to see this. I don't think I can get in without blasting. I don't. Okay, so here's my 1/2 inch. Here's my 3/8. Right there's my 3/8. And then there's one baby notch. That's where I'm going to go to cut my pieces. Okay. So let me scoot back out here. I know you won't be able to see it from there, but I wanted you just to see that. So just use a tester piece of white strip to see if 3/8 is going to work for you, or if you want that to one baby notch before that. Okay, so I go 1/2 inch, and then I go back to 3/8, and then I'm going to go one baby notch. And I told you I needed 6. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to make sure, this one you want to make sure that they are in order because of how they look. 6. Okay, see how that goes back together? So let me get this out of the way. Now, I want to show you this as I lay them down, what happens when you lay them down. This is so cool. So cool, so cool. Look at that. I am going to zoom in to show you what happens. That is stellar. Isn't that cool? Get it in focus a little bit. Look at that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue each one on individually. I'm going to ink mine because my whole book is inked and I don't want to not have that. So I'm sorry to take the time to do this, folks, but if I don't, it will kind of look funny. Now the trick to this one is when you go to build it and glue it on, you want to make sure that you keep your strips all right. So I'm just going to set them right up here. Oops, let me screen back out, you guys. I have my strips right up here. I know this video is getting just a tad long, you guys, so I'm going to try to get this going. Sorry, but I wanted to cut those strips while you were here watching me to visualize what we were doing. And when you ink your edges, I'm going to tell you it does take longer. I'm not going to lie. You know, you can whip albums out quicker when you don't do this. It's just I personally like the look of it. And I get many, many, many comments on it. Okay, now, it doesn't matter which way you start, but I'm just going to go start right here, and I've got my glue bottle, and I am going to just scribble on there, and I'm going to lay it. And it's easier if you just start with this, actually you start with this one, because, and just press it down with your finger, move your white paper to your next one, and glue. So again, this works really cool with stripes as well. I think that also looks really cool. Now just be careful that you do not get any paper on the piece before it. Move right on down. We're going to use this technique also inside of our album, in between our gusset pieces. Okay. This kind of looks like it's in motion, you know. Okay. And we have so that one little hair off of the 3/8 worked perfect, you guys. Absolutely perfect. I'd suggest that you try that on your little cutter. And you kind of need a cutter like that for these small pieces. Okay. Let me put my pin in my glue. And let's burnish that down. Watch it because you have your magnets there, so be careful. Look at that. Is that not awesome or what? Okay, so we don't have quite enough to do because we're going to do the exact same thing on the inside. And we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so I'm just going to peek over here in my stash. And I don't know. We can do this. Just a second here, folks. I'm looking in our stash that we have over here. And I don't have another. We can do one of two things. You can do one of two things. You can use perhaps this piece, or what I wanted to show you is that we actually have several small pieces left from our little strips that when you cut them, it says don't use, not use, not use. So here I have 4 of them, and I'm sure I can cut some from here off this cream side. So let's do that, because it doesn't have to be as dramatic as that one. Okay, so first of all, let's see how many we can get out of here. So again, I'm going to go one little hair before that. So I need 7. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And how about we do a blue one? So I'm going to use this blue baby strip that we have left. And again, this one's it's tough when there's a small, you guys, to recut them, by the way, but you just do the best you can. And I have one more of the same color. Let's do that. It's the same color. It's actually the top of one of these we cut. So again, this is one of the strips that says don't use or not use. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And we're just one little hair from there. Actually, I think that's already the right size. I think so. Okay. Sweet. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to really quickly do this, you guys, so that we can wrap up this piece. So, yeah, so one day when I was just thinking about this and like, wow, why are we putting all that paper on there? Why don't we, this one is not even. So I gave it a shot, and it took me a few times to get it to the right size, because I want to make sure that you can put your 4x6 photos on there without any problem. And so it took me a few times to kind of maneuver it, and it ended up working really well. And I've done it on my pages on my albums ever since. So if you watch any of my earlier videos, you will not see that, because I didn't think of it until semi-recently. Okay, so let's see. We're going to put these back in the stash here. Okay, so we're kind of in the same thing. Sometimes also, you guys, I also cover these strips right here in the middle. I am not going to do that on this album. I don't believe so. It's not my intention. But so I'm just going to lay these out. I think they're all the right size. Yep. Okay. So because there's no special pattern in this one, I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to start on actually the last flap. So when you flip it over. Come on, glue. Come on, glue. Come on, glue. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to put that right up there. Press it with your finger. And we're going to go and grab the next one. I have a fly in my room. I have no idea what in the heck that's all about. This is not nearly as dramatic as our front flaps, by the way, as I see. So you could choose something different if you didn't want them all the cream color. Again, it's not as dramatic. This kind of piece, I think, is crooked, but it's going to stay in there. This is how our photo would go. See? Look at that. I think this is super clever. We're not going to put this in our book yet, because I like to have these at the very end, because as we add our pages in here, it makes it harder to put them in, because you are you can't lay the stuff things flat. So I don't do that until the end. Okay, I think my strip set was a little challenging, you guys. It is hard to cut those small strips, so it is easier to take a big piece and cut it down. And then we have plenty of scraps that you can sure do that with if you don't want this cream on there. And then we're going to do the blue as our very last strip, and you can choose whatever side you want, because they're both blue. And that's just going to go up there. Make sure I don't have it caught on there. Okay. So again, I went one hair down from the 3/8. And that, what happens is it's going to allow you to have them just fit a little bit better. Now, the thing about my waterfalls is that you really need to close them one page at a time because they will get caught in your strips. So here's what's tricky. That looks so cool, and then when you open it up, look at that, look at that. Again, you want to open them one at a time. You can, if you want, we have plenty of paper. You can come back and put paper in these right here as well. And I might do that at the end if we have extra paper that I want to use. So there you have the waterfall. Again, that we're just going to set aside, and we will come to that towards the end of putting our album together. All right, thanks. Next up is we will start making our pages. We have 3 tutorials. The first tutorial is page 1 through 4, and then I have 5 through 8, and then 9 through 12. So there's 3 tutorials, so they're about an hour long that will make your pages. All right, thank you so much.